Hey, you guys, this is Rashawn Ellis from News, Views, and Conversations, aka Urban Beats Radio 2. Just popping in on a Saturday to give you news, views, and conversations. When I tell you it's going down in 2024 and about to be 2025, it's going down. I'm sure you've all heard, but I have to come and give you my my rendition of what's going on. And I always like to listen longer than a lot of other, people that, cover the news, YouTubers, mainstream, whatever, because I like to get more information as much as possible. And I'm glad that I have, because as I continue to listen weekly as to what's going on, I can tell you a little bit more, but we're still waiting for the suspect to be gotten. So I can go ahead and, go from there and tell you, what I've, uncovered so far. So far, what we understand is United Healthcare CEO Brian Thompson was shot and deleted in Manhattan on Wednesday morning in a brazen targeted attack as he walked toward the company's annual investor conference, per the New York police. He also stated, I want to be clear at this time, every indication is that this was a premeditated, pre planned, targeted attack. NYPD Commissioner Jessica Tisch said. The gunman remains on the loose. The NYPD released footage of the hooded suspect at a nearby Starbucks before the shooting, and police officials who spoke on condition of anonymity said he may have dropped some vital clues while fleeing. So far, I've heard of the burner phone and something about a water bottle. Still gathering more information. A motive is unclear, and police haven't announced one, but a source with knowledge of the investigation told CNN that United Healthcare's parent company, United Health Group, was aware of concerning threats against its high level executives. So we have that much information from what they've said and stated. They already knew that something was going on. The wife has already stated it as well. And so it just sounds like it's a situation where they understand like something bigger is at play. Um, I find it very convenient that they uncovered the bullets and they're saying that the bullets had on them delay, deny, and possibly dispose on it. So I just kind of find it convenient because it looks like it's a patient client. Probably, their claim was denied, they're ailing, they're sick, and somebody is out for revenge. But something about me just spells this is too convenient, for that to just say that. It's like it's immediately telling us to look at the patient client, someone, whoever that may be. We don't know. But so far from what I've uncovered, this is what I have. I have heard that there has been insider trading dealing with Brian Thompson. We're still waiting on more information for that. So they're saying there's insider trading going on. There's a case as we speak, but they're still, still developing. They don't have everything out in the open about that. So we have a lot of uncovering to do. But right now, everything is not made available. Right now, we're just in the whole process of getting more information of what we find out, what else is unfolding. As I said earlier, the wife was aware of the threats, and so were the other higher up executives as well at United Healthcare Group. So everybody knows what's going on. So this is what I waited for at the end of the week to find out. From what we're understanding, the suspect boarded a Greyhound bus from Atlanta to New York to carry this out. Now, I am from Atlanta. I live in Atlanta. Uh, this is why I always tell people to just be aware, be nosy like me, get information. The enemy can always be in your backyard. So how did we know before the end of the week that we would find out, oh, they left from Atlanta, Georgia to go to New York to carry this out? Interesting, interesting, interesting. So we have that bit of information. So I'm glad I found that out before I came back to say anything. Because I'm just like really floored, like, oh my God, you know, what is going on? And from what we're understanding, the police here in Atlanta are cooperating with the police in New York, trying to figure out what is his connection here in Atlanta from here to there. Like, does he know anyone here? And I'm sure if he did come back here, they would know that. So I'm thinking there's no telling which way he went at this point because we haven't uncovered that part yet. But as far as we know, he left from Atlanta, Georgia, to go to New York to do this to Mr. Thompson. Um, as we know right now, there is a well, it was a $10,000 reward, but it's also been bumped up now to 50,000. And as I said before, the bullets that they found at the scene, they had delay, deny, and possibly dispose on them. Possibly he used, they think they said it was a veterinary silencer, 9mm gun. They found 3 live 9mm rounds and 3 discharged 9mm shell casings. So this is what we have so far. I have 2 videos that I want to show you on this to, bring you up to speed as of what I know and what everybody else has been saying. It's a crazy world. A lot of things going down in 2024. And we have so much to discover and see what's going to be going on in 2025. But I just want to stop in this Saturday to, bring you this news. Condolences to the family. I've heard a lot on social media, the internet. Everything's all over the place. Condolences to the family. It's still not right to go and take someone's life in spite of the fact that they could have been responsible for a lot of denial claims. At the same time, all I can say is if you want people to feel for you, make sure you feel for others. I think sometimes people, tend to lose track of, they lose track of, other people. Like people get to where they get to in life and they're focused on their job and they're bringing in so many millions and trillions of dollars and that's what's important to them. Never forget the underdog. Never forget the little people. Because of the little people, that's how you become who you are. So I will say this to say, if you forget about the little people will forget about you as well. And that's what it sounds like was going on the internet, on social media. The comments are off the chain. There is no mercy in this situation for what happened to the CEO, Brian Thompson of United Healthcare. It's really sad. Like I said, it's sad on both ends. It's sad for the patient clients that were denied. And it's sad on his end as well, but there is no sympathy. Last I heard, they're not even trying to assist in finding out who did what. Again, I still am going to wait to see what else we find out and what else we uncover. It seems kind of fishy to me that, the bullets said what they had to say on them as far as, really pointing it to the patient client. I'm still scratching my head on that. I honestly feel like it could be something at a higher level. And this is possibly being made to look a certain way, but we're going to see. I don't want to get conspiracy theory yet, but we're going to see because I like to try to bring factual news, factual information, things that I can concretely point and say, yeah, this happened, that happened, and really have information. But something just tells me there's more at play here. I've read a lot of different headlines. I've read like how much money he brought in, how much he made. I mean, it's in the millions and trillions. And I will say, I don't believe that you make that kind of money by a lot of things being honest a lot of the times. But we're going to see. We're going to see. And when we see, I will come back and give you more news, views, and conversations on what I found out, what else I discovered. Be sure to like, comment, and subscribe to Sean Ellis Music Entertainment TV. And as soon as I get more information, I will be back. I hope you guys are having a lovely weekend. I will talk to you later.
United Healthcare CEO Brian Thompson was gunned down in New York, and that massive manhunt is still underway for his killer in what police are calling a calculated and premeditated attack. In a new statement, the United Healthcare Group says this, quote, "While our hearts are broken, we have been touched by the huge outpouring of kindness and support in the hours since this horrific crime took place." But this killing has generated a very different reaction from some on the internet. Just take a look at some of these comments found under a CNN video about this story online. These are just a few, among dozens of hateful comments that we found, including one saying, quote, "Sorry, my sympathy is out of network." The New York Times writes this, quote, "The dark commentary after the death of the 50-year-old insurance executive from Maple Grove, Minnesota, highlighted the anger and frustration over the state of healthcare in America, where those with private insurance often find themselves in Kafkaesque tangles while seeking reimbursement for medical treatment and are often denied." And that frustration is something that doctors say they've seen from patients throughout their careers.
I see people when they're at their lowest, when the system has failed them, and I'm frankly not surprised. They feel abandoned, they feel exploited, they feel lied to when it comes to the healthcare system, and especially insurances, because of the things you mentioned: denials, prior authorization, narrow networks, the cost of healthcare. It's been going on and bottling up for a long time.
So our panel's back. Annie Linsky, we're going to be clear here about the tragedy that is Mr. Thompson and his family, right? And set that aside. But what we do see in the wake of this is an outpouring of anger around the way people have been treated by these companies. Now, we're again going to be clear. We are not saying that this justifies any sort of violence at all. But this conversation has really exploded. My family's talking about it.
Absolutely, mine is too. Of course, vigilante justice is not the answer to the problem. But what I should say is, and this incident and the reaction to it ought to be a wake-up call to this industry, which has, there have been many big, really good investigative pieces about United Healthcare in particular, and the issues that their customers have in getting the healthcare that's promised, getting the responses promised. And if it's not it's not a wake-up call to the industry, it certainly will be to Congress, and they are going to have there will be laws.
In a CNN story that was just published about this, they note that a Facebook post that was put up by United Health Group expressing sadness about the CEO's death, it received 62,000 reactions. 57,000 of them were laughing emojis.
Yeah. That's sad to think about, but look at this. And you're right. Most of these healthcare issues are life or death. And I have a sick dad home in Louisiana, and we go to the doctor all the time, and sometimes we get denied for things. And it doesn't feel good, And so I think people have a personal issue with the way their healthcare has been administered. And I think, to your point, Annie, over the next few weeks, few months, we're going to have a conversation about this. If Congress has to take action, I think they will have to, but we hope that these private companies can come to the table and be a little bit more consistent in the way they administer healthcare. I think that would be helpful.
United Healthcare has already been the focal point of ire for Congress because it's vertically integrated. They're buying up doctors' offices. They own the largest PBM, which controls the price of prescription drugs in the country. They're the most aggressive on denying claims. I think United Healthcare will get more scrutiny.
And of course, we don't know the motivation yet of this killer. We just know that these two words were found on these bullet casings.
But let's advance to New York.
Yep.
So he gets here somewhere around the 24th. Of
November.
Right.
Yep.
So now let's establish that puts him here a lot longer than we believed he was here just 24 hours ago before they developed this information. He checks into this hostel, which we've been up to on the Upper West Side, and he's assigned to a room where he has these two roommates. So it's a room for four, but he's the third person there. He talks to the clerk at the desk, and, they are chatting back and forth, and, she's kind of having a flirty moment with him and says,
That's when the smile happens?
"Let me see your face. Take down your mask." And he lowers the mask and gives that big smile. That little flirtation between the two of them in some good-humored way actually yielded what is so far the most significant clue to identifying him. He checks out of the hostel after a couple of days and then checks back in. They have not established, investigators, according to people briefed on this investigation, where he was during that kind of odd day. Did he try to find another place? They have established, by kind of starting out at the hostel every day and doing a video canvas that attempts to recreate his trail each of those days, that the first place he goes is the Hilton Hotel, way before the night of the murder. So that suggests from the moment he gets off the bus, He knows about this conference. He wants to do that reconnaissance. So this is how they're kind of learning more about the length of time he was here.
Yeah.
He takes taxis. He goes to a McDonald's. He's using this fake
Wearing
New
his
Jersey
mask all
driver's
the time.
license. Mask got put up. And I mean, Aaron,
Yeah.
when you say wearing his mask all the time, the whole object of the game is, where is that weak moment where he thinks, nobody knows I'm here, nobody's looking at me, where he takes down the hood and the mask at the same time, and they haven't found that yet.
Out front now, Mateos Toronto. He was staying in the same hostel on the same floor where police believe the suspected shooter stayed. And Mateos, I really appreciate your time. I mean, what a bizarre situation you find yourself in. I know you're visiting from Brazil. You've been staying in the hostel. You've met some people there. Can we just start with some of the photos you took on the 4th floor of the hostel where you were staying, where where police say he was staying? Can you tell us anything about that? What it's like in there? What those halls look like?
All right, so the hostel is actually really crowded. There are a lot of people there, so they divide like rooms to, I think, 4 to 10 people. But in the
4
hallway,
to 10 people in one room.
Yeah, 4 to 10 or 12, 4 to 12, yeah. So the hallway is just simple. It's just the doors that goes to the rooms, the shared rooms. And that's it. That's pretty simple how the hallways look.
So it would seem from what you're saying that if he was staying on that floor, as they believe he was, that he would have had other people in the room.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah.
Okay, so now you've been staying there for about a week.
Yeah.
And you're talking about these rooms that you got 4 to 12 people in a room.
Yeah.
So from what you're saying, he would have had other people in the room.
Yeah.
How hard would it have been to, as you see it, to even do something like to have a gun in there or something like that?
I mean, it would be that hard, like if he put on like his luggage or something, because there's no metal detector. There's nothing like that. So I think just go inside and it will be all good. Like,
So he could have had something like that. In terms of seeing him, do you recall seeing, now you've seen his picture out there and you talk about the hostel being so crowded, do you recall seeing anybody that looked like him?
Yeah, I didn't recall anyone looking like that. And people are saying that he always using the mask. So even if I saw him, I wouldn't recognize him because he was always wearing the mask.
Right, and obviously, as you were there those few days,
Yeah.
you know, you talk about the situation. There's no security. There's no, and lots of people coming and going.
There's like basic security there. Yeah, there's a security like you can't go inside without a card, so we have to check in to go inside. But like gun control doesn't have any. So yeah, that kind of security is none.
Right. And in terms, just out of curiosity, but when you pay, you can pay credit, cash.
Yeah,
in terms of
whatever.
Any way you want to pay.
Yeah.
All right. Well, I mean, it is really fascinating, but also important, as you say, that he would have probably had a lot of other people in the room.
Yeah.
Where he was sleeping.
I think his room probably like had 4 to 6 people, but I'm not sure because I didn't get to come in there. It was locked. But the day that I arrived, there are a lot of cops there. People saw him. No, people saw the cops there outside the room. But yeah, everyone that was inside the room just went to another room. And I don't know who these people were. Like, I asked around and they didn't know anyone.
Right. All right. Well, Mateos, thank you very much. I appreciate it.
There's surveillance video of the shooting itself with the alleged gunman wearing a mask. Newly released video of what appears to be the man fitting the description of the suspect, walking in the area of the killing on Wednesday morning. Video of what could be the suspect on an e-bike on the west side of Manhattan. New photos of a so-called person of interest wearing a hooded jacket but no mask, which CNN has geolocated to a Manhattan hostel where police believe the suspect may have stayed. Crucial images which are among the many resources being used by the NYPD to catch the suspect in the murder of United Healthcare CEO Brian Thompson.
NYPD and the FBI have a great ability to pull together video surveillance and piece it together moment by moment by moment and follow somebody through any camera available. And that's what the goal is first, is from the incident, every moment after that, every moment before that, Can we see this individual?
CNN is told there's facial recognition technology being used. The NYPD's Joint Operations Center is being utilized to deploy field teams and analyze the video coming in. Law enforcement experts tell us another resource police have will help them trace and possibly match the bullet shell casings left at the scene. A shell and a live round with the words delay and depose written on them, reflecting popular phrases in the insurance industry. To analyze the shells, experts say they'll use the ATF's NIBIN system. NIBIN standing for National Integrated Ballistic Information Network, which helps them match shell casings with other crime scenes. There are other physical resources to analyze DNA from a phone and a bottle of water which may have been dropped by the suspect.
That can possibly hold physical evidence, including fingerprints, but also pieces of hair or something else that would disclose who this person might be.
There's video of the suspect just minutes before the shooting buying water and energy bars at a Starbucks, providing the police with human assets and other resources.
How did he make that purchase? Who saw him? Who interacted with him? And what did he do electronically that might have paid for those if he paid cash?
Witnesses at the hostel where the gunman may have stayed could be a critical resource.
Also at the hostel, who interacted with him? What did he sound like? Did he have an accent? Did he sound like he was from the Midwest or from the East Coast?
Another important resource tonight, police going back in time to Thompson's recent background.
So what was happening in Brian Thompson's world in terms of the threats that we're hearing about, things that the company was worried about, statements made by his widow now about the threats that he was facing.
Former FBI official Catherine Schweit says one key resource for law enforcement tonight is the alleged gunman's circle of family and friends. Now, even though we don't know his identity yet, she says someone in that circle likely knows about his grievances with United Healthcare and could well step forward to help law enforcement tonight. Wolf.
CNN security correspondent and former FBI agent Josh Campbell, as well as retired NYPD detective Tom Verney. Josh, the words delay and depose were found on a live round and a shell casing, pointing to a popular phrase thought to be used in the insurance industry, the health insurance industry, delay, deny, defend. How does getting a motive nailed down in a case like this work?
Well, this is interesting because it may have been a mistake that the shooter left behind a water bottle and a phone, but it is not a mistake that there are these words that are written on the shell casings, because when a gun is fired, the bullet comes out the front, the shell casing is ejected. And as you mentioned, he actually wrote some of those words on there that are associated with, critics of the insurance industry. And so that could lead to this motive, that perhaps this was someone who had some type of grievance against this healthcare insurance company and was literally leaving behind the motivation for others to find. Now, of course, behind the scenes, investigators would no doubt be working to see what type of threats may have been made against this insurance company, perhaps against the CEO himself. I was talking with a former senior security director at another competing insurance company who said they used to get threats all the time from people who had a bad dealing with the company, and that then boils over into actually doing threats. So I'm sure that they would be looking into those. But of course, finally, Jake, this is one particular theory, and there's a danger in law enforcement that you get tunnel vision and start excluding other potential theories. I personally think that in this case, if this was indeed some type of personal dispute, what better way to try to, shield that than to make it look like a disgruntled claimant? So at this point, all options on the table for law enforcement.
Yeah, no, absolutely. Tom, do you think it's more likely that the person, the murderer, did this because the murderer had a motivation, or was somebody hired by somebody with a motivation?
Yeah. Well, I mean, look, first, my condolences to the Thompson family. What a horrible thing to be going through, especially this time of the year, the holidays on top of us. And, there's theories about this individual being a hired hitman versus some sort of disgruntled, troubled person with a firearm, which is too commonplace here in the United States, as we've all seen, right? So, the thing is, with leaving so many clues behind, I mean, the thing that caught me was in the beginning of the video, the person is taking sort of a shooting stance, almost a combat stance that those of us in law enforcement or in the military are trained to take to get, the proper sight alignment with the weapon to make sure that the bullet is reaching its proper destination, right? But then to the immediate right, there's someone standing right there. And then to the immediate left, there's someone in a parked SUV. So to be using the silencer sort of it doesn't really make much sense if you're doing this, in front of, maybe a handful of people. So, if this was a hired hitman, I don't know if he was hired through Craigslist versus Indeed, because he's already left a lot of clues and evidence behind, where a professional hired hitman would have been a ghost, and you never would have saw the person approaching and or leaving, and certainly not just taking a nice bike ride through Midtown Manhattan.
Tom, what do you make of the revelation? Our John Miller just reported that the shooter, or the person of interest rather, used a fake ID to check into that hostel.
Yeah, I mean, that's not surprising. I mean, these, as John had sort of alluded to, these, the fake IDs and or even accessories for guns. You could get just about anything on the internet nowadays. And that's this ongoing argument as far as gun laws and, whether the gun laws should be more restrictive, and what can you get either on the open market or on the internet. And it's not about suppressing people's Second Amendment rights as it is, psychos getting their hands on these weapons and then causing unbelievable damage. Having said that, the location of this shooting in Midtown Manhattan, right by the Hilton, and I'm very familiar with that hotel. I worked in that area for a number of years. I would put people's mind at ease that I don't think there's any immediate danger to the public. This clearly seems to be a targeted attack. And, so now it's just a matter of piecing together anyone in the country, not necessarily New York City, but around the country, that knows someone that may have had some sort of an issue with this particular insurance company and or with this particular CEO. They may have put that out there on their social media. They may have complained about it, about the company and or that person in particular. So those are the people we want to hear from. If they know someone that has been complaining about that at great length and clearly fits the description of this individual.
Josh, obviously, health insurance company CEOs are not necessarily the most beloved individuals in the world. There has been a lot of twisted, dark, nihilistic commentary on social media applauding this assassination of this individual. I mean, it's horrific. Does that have any sort of effect on future dangers, future threats, or even the search for this killer?
Yeah, some of these platforms have become unwieldy, to begin with, but I've seen a lot of the same vile postings that you're mentioning. Others, people posting the leadership at other companies as well, essentially signaling, hey, if you want to be a copycat, here's the person to go after. And so this is why, as you mentioned, we're seeing that a lot of these healthcare companies in the last 24 hours have started bolstering security for their protectees. These companies often have in-house security. Sometimes they contract with executive protection firms to provide security as well. And for both those teams as well as law enforcement, what they're looking for, and Tom knows this well, whenever you're trying to assess a threat, you're looking for intent and capability. There are a lot of people out there with the capability to cause violence who have absolutely no intention to do so, but you're looking for the person that wants to cause harm and may have that capability. It's difficult to suss out whether, these are these keyboard commandos, as we say, who just spread vile things, or whether some of these people might act on them. That's why we're seeing this increase in security, Jake.
Yeah, dark and twisted. Tom Verney and Josh Campbell, thanks to both.
The manhunt continues for the masked gunman who shot and killed United Healthcare CEO Brian Thompson in Manhattan. Here are the new developments tonight. Late this afternoon, investigators revealed they believe the shooter has left New York City. They believe he rode a bike away from the scene, took a taxi to a bus terminal, and boarded a bus. Sources close to the investigation say the bus is how he originally got to New York. They believe he boarded a Greyhound from Atlanta to New York days before the shooting.
Fox 5's Deidre Dukes is live at the Greyhound bus terminal in downtown Atlanta tonight with the latest on the investigation. Deidre?
Yeah, several new developments reported just within the past few hours, but local law enforcement officials are not speaking publicly about these possible Atlanta ties. Now, APD did release a statement this afternoon saying they have been contacted by New York police and that they will assist them as needed in the investigation as the search continues for that suspect.
The multi-state manhunt for the murder suspect who gunned down United Healthcare CEO Brian Thompson in Manhattan now runs through Atlanta.
It just kind of hits home when they say that it could have possibly boarded from Atlanta.
Just the thought that that it's around you.
In a new timeline of events, police have connected the suspected killer to an Atlanta Greyhound bus station. NYPD sources tell Fox News the shooter took a Greyhound bus from Atlanta to New York City days before Thanksgiving.
It's just wild to me. It's crazy. I mean, you never know who you're next to these days.
A stunning development for area residents and bus passengers traveling through the Greyhound bus terminal in Atlanta Friday.
For him to get on the bus with all these people and to go up there and shoot this man down like this. What you think about? You know, I just think like this world is coming to an end.
Take a good look at these images. Police released unmasked photos of a person of interest seen checking into an Upper West Side hostel. Authorities say he was in New York City for at least 10 days and spotted at various locations before the shooting. Testing is underway after investigators found DNA on a burner phone the suspect dropped in an alleyway and a water bottle he bought at a nearby Starbucks before the shooting. They are also using facial recognition technology in an effort to identify the suspect. News of the Atlanta tie to the case broke Thursday night. A Greyhound spokesperson told Fox Digital the company is fully cooperating with authorities on this active investigation.
And as detectives release new information in this case, just within the past hour, a reward of $10,000 is being offered for an arrest in this case. In Atlanta, Deidre Dukes, Fox 5 News.
Deidre, thanks.